Welcome to the Grownlearn Podcast, everyone. I have the pleasure to introduce to you somebody who is in similar shoes as I am. He's also a host of a podcast. His has been around for quite some time. The podcast is called I Am Refocused Radio, and I'm welcoming today Shemaiah Reed, who's the co-founder of this podcast. He's had more than 900 shows so far, and he's interviewing thought leaders from all around the world in all walks of life topics. So I encourage you to hop on to whatever podcast platform you're using and check out I Am Refocused Radio. Hi, Shemaiah.
Hey, how's it going? Thank you for your time.
Thank you for joining me. Shemaiah, how did this thing start? Why did you decide to do podcasts?
Man, it's an awesome question because for me, everyone's always said, hey, man, you got a great voice. And I never thought...
It's a bit like Barry White.
Right? So I really didn't pay too much attention to wanting to be a talk show host. I never thought that it would be something I'd be good at. It's nothing that really crossed my mind. But it kind of... a backstory just to kind of make it all come full circle is I believe it was like 2012, 2013. I launched a magazine called Refocused Magazine. And my sister was editor-in-chief, and she helped me put this magazine together, and other people as well in the community, San Antonio, helped me make this magazine come to life. And it was basically the premise was to inspire people and do it with stories. So the idea and the vision was simply to highlight people who are in the prime of their career. And we didn't want to narrow it down to anything too specific. We just want to okay, what do you do? You know, are you a business person? Are you in the military? Or you in some high executive level position? We just wanted to get stories and basically inspire our community in San Antonio, Texas, where I live. And it just kind of grew. It allowed us to travel, not a lot, but just like to Austin for South by Southwest and interview artists. So we had a small little niche in the beginning, like trying to talk to music artists and local leaders. Mm-hmm. And it just allowed us to get stories. And the premise was basically every day you have the opportunity to refocus, on your goals, your target, your purpose. And we use those stories to just inspire the reader. So the podcast came about in 2017. And it's because one of the persons that I interviewed, Rico Rodriguez, he was the owner of Rockefeller's Barbershop in San Antonio, Texas, and he was a cover story himself. He was a boxer. He had some hard times, and he ended up doing time in prison. But when he got out of prison, he became a business owner. And that inspired me to get his story for the magazine. And then we just kept in touch and used to hang in the barbershop, just check in and, showing the cover of the magazine, all the, inspiring moments. And then he was like pushing me to say, you should do a podcast. Like you should go for it, And one of the guys that rent his chair in the shop, co-signed, was like, yeah, man, you have a perfect voice. You should give it a shot. So long story short, because of Rico Rodriguez, I got on the microphone, and the rest is history. He's been my number one fan, my number one supporter, and he's always on my support page because he's part of the reason why I was on the microphone.
Okay, let's give a cheer to Rico Rodriguez then for supporting you. That's great. So I'm reading a bit about you, and I see that you have qualifications in 3D, animation, music production, philosophy, business. And out of all these disciplines, what would you say is your most favorite, or where do you have most passion in?
The arts. I love the arts. When it comes to sound, when it comes to music, when it comes to visual, I'm a visual learner. Like I said, I kind of struggle with school because my mind was just always outside the classroom. I was beatboxing, I was humming, in class. Not loud, but just to myself because that's my attention. My attention was always in the creative space. I like the whole like make something from nothing. So it's just my passion. Anything with audio and visual is my passion. And it's been reflective in my work even to today. Today, I still do video production, editing. I do photography. I have a business, outside of, the podcast. So everything that I do today is a reflection of my passion for the arts.
What is your business about and what is it called?
Shemaiah Production Studio LLC is simply we do like photography and video production, and we try to do a lot of different things, but simply the business model is anything visual and audio. So from music production to shooting like a mini documentary style video. That's that's my passion. It's something that I'm currently growing in. So it's something that I expect to grow further in the next years. It's basically documenting stories. It's just like the show basically is. It's a passion to be a lens and use that to either inspire people or just educate people. And education is something I think is very important. I think it's something that I personally have to strive for. And if I stop now, then I will plateau. So, I have to keep going.
Okay, great. I mean, I recognize a lot of the motivations that I have myself when you're speaking. When in those few years that you've been doing this podcast, is there some of your guests that really stands out that you've remembered? I know it's a lot of people, 900, and probably the majority of them are amazing.
Yeah.
I
have to play it safe and say, I think everyone on the show is amazing. But if I had to choose, man, that's a good one because the first ones will be my childhood, like idols, if you will, my childhood, like celebrity, like people that I would pinch myself like, am I really get to talk to this person today? type guess. So it would be like, I don't know if you're familiar with the show Fresh Prince of Bel-Air in the 90s.
Yes.
But
I
was able to interview Karen Parsons on she played Hillary Banks on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And it's crazy. Like it really is crazy because also Will Smith, best friend, the DJ Jazz on the show. I got to Jazz the DJ. So those two that I got to interview on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air it still is crazy to me today. I grew up watching that show. And of course I love me some Hillary. I ain't gonna lie. So just being able to talk to her was awesome. Jazz too, but really Hillary, because Hillary was like cool. When I was growing up, I was like, what? So when I got to interview her, I asked her a question. I said, what would you say to anybody who wants to be in your shoes as an actress, being on TV, you have a very, very successful career. And her answer surprised me because it was so simple. She simply, just paraphrasing it, she simply was like, you just got to keep going. That's all it is. That's the secret. You just can't stop. You just got to keep going. And
it's interesting because it's the second time that I'm getting this message today. I had a conversation earlier on with a friend of mine, and that was that was what we finished the conversation with, the sentence, and now you're repeating it. It's like a deja vu. It's incredible.
But there's a ton of celebrities I've been honored to talk to, and I think at this point I try to call everyone a celebrity because I feel like I met so many cool people that we all have something in common, and that is whatever motivates us. So some other people that I've been honored to talk to that still pinch myself because like they're super famous is Ashley Wilcott for TV, Dan Abrams. I don't know if you remember him. He's a
I am.
Police Live. So that was a shocker. Reverend Al Sharpton, I got to interview him. That was a shocker. Bill Curtis, I think he did stuff.
Yeah, I think
I'm
I've
trying
heard
not to
of
mess
him.
it up, but he did a lot
Yeah.
of CBS specials and stuff. So it's just a ton of people. Ashley Banfield, Court TV, um, Dionne Warwick, famous music star. So
Yeah.
Sarah Wayne, I think Callis, I think that's right. She was she played real funny. She played the name Sarah in Prison Break. So I don't know if you remember like Break with Michael and them, but I got to
Mhm.
interview her. It's just a lot of people, and it still gets me like, what? Kyle Petty from NASCAR, that whole family's a legend. Tamara Maury from Sister Sister. So it's just wild.
Yeah.
Tamron Hall from her talk show, Dave talk show. It's just awesome. Like it's really cool. And people be like, man, you not like tripping? I'm like, I'm always tripping. I'm just quiet. Like, it's all in my head.
Uh, okay, so these are the best experiences. What about experiences where you're like, oh gosh, I wish this didn't happen to me? Do you have such while doing this podcast?
I mean, being transparent and real, I think I think we all have, if we are a host long enough, we come across episodes that maybe not be our cup of tea. And honestly, they just don't air, if I'm being
Uh-huh.
honest. That
Okay.
I just won't publish them, to be honest. It's just one of those things where you just have to keep that balance of if you're a good fit for someone and someone is a good fit for you. Um, I do I do it like as nice as I can. I'm not rude and be like, hey, I'm deleting this. It's more like, hey, this probably won't work out, but thanks for your time. That's the secret
Mm.
I've been learning is when you say thanks for your time to people,
Yeah.
it really shows that you appreciate that they brought something to the table. It wasn't just you. So
Mhm.
I learned that from someone who gave me wisdom. So it's just small things like that. Like, yeah, I'm more ashamed of maybe how I was in the beginning in my podcast journey, if you will,
Uh-huh.
because I was
In what
terrible. I
sense?
was a terrible host. I was cutting people off. I would hog the mic, and I kind of still do. But I'm just saying, like, I would literally interview someone, and it'd be like them talking for 5 minutes. So I learned a long time ago that as soon as you let someone else flow, then the interview it sparks because you give that time and space for the guests to shine. And it's like when they shine, your show will shine.
Mhm. That's a really good one. So where are you going next? What's your next destination?
I mean,
Professional.
yeah, that's a great question. Because what I do is, so I have a podcast, I have a day job that's in radio, and I also have my production business that I do on the side. I mean, honestly, is just try to sharpen my skills, when it comes to technology, trying to keep up with that, keep my mind sharp and keep doing what I'm doing now. As far as like any bigger goals, I think it will be to continue to try to inspire people through stories and produce things that make people want to chase their dream. You know,
Yeah.
my favorite quote I ever had um, was that sparked me to pursue studies in philosophy was back in high school. In high school, I was sophomore year. There's a quote that I read from Blaise Pascal. And I used to read stuff like Michelangelo and all that stuff just to inspire myself. But Blaise Pascal had a quote, and he wasn't even religious, but he said something like, he said, in faith, there's enough light for those who want to believe, and also enough shadows to blind those who don't. And when I first read that, I was like, boom. I was mind blown. I was like, man, I didn't even heard it like that. And that quote I kept with me. And there's times, different periods in my life where I'll write it down as a reminder. There's enough light for those who want to believe, but there's also enough shadows to blind you. I just kept that concept, that mindset. And I even wrote it on a piece of paper and put in my wallet while I was at the University of Toledo. And on graduation day, I read it to myself as a reminder that I didn't give up, in college. So that quote is something that has been a guiding system for me as a reminder. No matter what happens in life, there's enough light to see, but there's also enough shadows to blind you if you choose to look at the shadows too long.
I love this quote. What is the moment of enlightenment that you've received from a guest or from a certain topic? Do you recall such a moment? I mean, I'm sure there are a lot to you, like you're a philosopher. Yeah. So.
Man, so many good things that guests have said. I think the best way I can answer that is there's a common thread that I've noticed with all my guests, especially the ones who are like multimillionaires, they're superstars. Like I interviewed Michael Rappaport, and I was pinching myself. Like, you gotta understand, I get nervous when I talk to a celebrity. I'm literally like brain fart, because I'm like, okay, I gotta be good, But the cool thing is, like, those celebrities I've been honored to talk to, they're just normal human beings, and they treat me, as if I was their buddy or their friend or, their equal. And a common thread I found in all these guests, whether they're multimillionaires or they're just getting started or whatever, it's not about, the wealth or fame. It's about the person. And the common thread I found was that, like Michael Rappaport said, he said, you don't dip your toes in the pool. You jump all in. You choose your career and you don't dip your toes.
Mm-hmm.
The whole time you're pursuing your career, you dive in because there's too much competition out there for you to just dip your toes. You have to be serious enough to dive in. And I used to joke with people when I shared what he said is that I know what he said is powerful and true, but I'm going to have floaties on just in case I'm in the deep end. But I get what he's saying, though. With all jokes aside, he's true.
Yeah.
What he's saying is true. Whatever you decide to do in life, you really just have to go all in. And that's the common thread I see with all the guests I've had. They chose at a certain point in their life, I'm going to dive in and I'm going to be this business owner, or I'm going to be this, medical professional, or I'm going to be this whatever, pastor, whatever it is. They make that choice to go all in. And I think until you go all in, you don't really have a major impact for your community. Because if you dip your toes, then you're really not doing anything for your community. But if you go all in, then that means you take the responsibility that comes with it. You take the pressure. When the days are not great, you still take that pressure and you say, but if I'm really all in, then I have to keep going. That's the key. Like Blaise Pascal, there's enough light to get you there, but there's also enough shadows to keep you stuck. You just have to turn your head. You going to face the shadows or you going to face the light?
Wow. Mind blowing. How many times have you personally been interviewed, Shemaiah?
Man, that's a great question. Very few. Maybe 5 to 10 times, maybe. I think more like maybe 5 to 8.
What are people mostly interested in when they interview you? What do they want to know from you?
Man, that's a great question. Based on my experience, I would say they just really want to know, my perspective on life. Like, how do you see life? What are you trying to do with your life? Obviously, but it's just simply what is your purpose? What are you here for? And I believe I'm just here to inspire as many people as I can, and do that with storytelling and obviously trying to pursue my dreams. I call myself a media mogul, but that started probably like 4 years ago. I just called myself that on a Facebook post, and then kind of stuck with me because people was like, "Oh wow, that's bold." I said, "No, sometimes you gotta be bold to get things started.
I like it. I like the media mogul. Okay.
And someone asked me, real quick, if I can. Someone asked me, it was like a chamber of commerce, and a guy in a high position asked me. He said, "Why you call yourself a media mogul?" And I said, "Well, it's because when I first started, like the podcast, my business, working at a radio job, I knew nothing. I didn't know anything about media. I didn't go to school for journalism or communications. I don't know. I'm the outside coming into a professional world of media. I used to work overnight news before I got my real job. So it's like splashing all these different things. So calling myself media mogul is because I've been able to see all these different formats of media, and I'm trying to use it as a creative way to inspire.
You have an ebook on purpose. It's basically representing what you are trying to inspire people how to live their lives. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
what I'm getting from our talk so far.
Yeah.
What is the ebook? Yeah, tell us about it.
Yeah, the ebook, man, is very dirt cheap, man, because I just want people to be inspired. Is stay focused, find a goal and stay with it. It's very simple. It's right to the point. And the subtitle, find a goal and stay with it, is like the key. Because everyone can be focused. The question is, what are we focused on? You see, because throughout the day, you're focused on something, whether it's positive or it's negative. If you're a human being, you're always going to have a negative mix in the day.
Mm-hmm.
There's no perfect human being that's going to be positive. That's a robot. That might be IG technology right there. But most human beings have bad, rough spots throughout the day. But it's what you choose to stay focused on. So the ebook is basically to help people find a goal and just stay with it. Because what we tend to do is find a goal and compare it to someone else's, successful life. If I like playing basketball, but I can't dunk like LeBron James, well, then I'm going to have a depressing moment because if I only focus on the fact that I'm not LeBron James and as skilled as he is, well, then I miss the whole point of, finding my own voice, finding my own, goal. So the ebook is just very straightforward, helping people understand, the power of just focusing on your goal. It talks about Rome and Greece too, because like I studied philosophy in, Toledo, University of Toledo. So you have that little Greek pattern at the bottom of the cover. But it's just very simple. It has some quotes and stuff throughout the book, like Zig Ziglar, hit a target you can't see. So it's like quotes I think will help people re-emphasize. It's not.
Is this "See You at the Top" that you're quoting by Zig Ziglar, or another book? Because I know "See You at the Top."
It's just really like just different quotes. So the one with Zig Ziglar, you can't hit a target you can't see. Well, it's just that you can't hit what you don't choose. If you choose negativity, well, there you go. It's there. It's ready for you. It's really difficult to choose positive things sometimes because it forces you to have to smile or it forces you to have to be thankful. But the sooner you do it, the better you start feeling. Yeah. It's when you hold and have resentment to not let go to where it eats you. But when you focus on the goal, it forces you to become disciplined. And that's all it is. Stay with that goal because it forces you to be disciplined. You're disciplined to success or you're disciplined to failure. You can't be disciplined to both.
Is this a formula for your own life that you're using, or do you use any other forms of, I would call them mind control, be it meditation or whatever? What do you use to keep yourself in line?
Well, my parents are both of faith, so I do believe in God. I'm not into the whole religious stuff though. And what I mean by that is the man-made rules. Like the way I break it down is any other man that's telling me what to do, any
Mhm.
other man that's saying what is or isn't right, or any other man that's saying something about the Bible, I think is more important to read it for yourself and make your choices. And that's that's just my that's my guiding system, if you will. I think it's more of a personal relationship that you just explore yourself. You don't necessarily need four walls to confirm your faith. And I know I'm be
Yeah.
stepping on toes, and that's okay because it is what it is. But that's the way I see it. I think it's a journey for one, and you just got to make your choices. And I think when you make your choices, you get to see the impact of those choices. And if you weigh the balance, you can kind of figure out. Someone said something on my show. I forget who it was, but they said something pretty cool. He said, you look at someone's life and I present you the choices that they made. And I was like, wow. It's like,
Yeah,
dang, that's pretty good right there.
it's really good. Yeah.
So that's my guiding system is that the more we complicate things, the more we get frustrated. Sometimes we have to sit back and make it simple and say, okay, what am I not doing? Or what am I doing? And how can it be different? Someone had a good recently statement on my show saying I don't know if it was you, it might have been you, but someone said don't ask why, ask what. You know, what can I do instead of why me?
Yeah.
The common thread is always there though, especially people who are like living their truth, whatever industry they're in. Like I talked to not media, excuse me, a real estate mogul. Like his portfolio is over 125 million with his team,
Mhm.
and my brain's just like, man, and you're talking to me on my show. That's pretty awesome. And he gives back to his charities that he's leader of, and he has a simple formula. He basically just stays true to what his purpose is if your purpose drives you, it will make room for you. If you don't have your purpose, then you're just like scatterbrain. You're everywhere. But when you have your purpose, it takes you to places even you don't want to be, but it's necessary for you to get to the next level. It's like purpose is like an anchor. When you kind of drift, too far away, it brings you back home.
I often equate purpose to meaning, or it's kind of a step forward because most people see purpose as a final destination, as something that you need to achieve, while others define it as the road you're walking towards a certain goal. But I actually created a course a few years ago called Start a Business with Meaning, because for me personally, it's about the meaning you create as you walk along and as you're walking and living your values. It is still purpose, but it engages more of what you do rather than, my purpose is something that is simply God-given. Partially it is, but I wanted to empower people to take action, and that's why I called it meaning. What is
No,
your
it's
what
good.
is your understanding of purpose?
I mean, everything you said is true because, like, you you can't drive a parked car. You know, someone told me that. Someone said, uh, yeah, that's what the person said. It was a music artist. They said, God can't drive a parked car. You got to move.
Hmm.
He can only direct you, but you have to move your feet. And if I would have stopped doing interviews, I wouldn't be talking to you right now. Like I could have gave you a shot at the barbershop in 2017, and I couldn't just quit right then and there and say, this is a waste of time. And look at all the people I would have missed out on.
Yeah.
And that's why I think purpose is. It keeps you from missing out on opportunities. And opportunities that are bigger than yourself are usually the best ones.
Thank you so much, Shemaiah, for this talk. Anything else that you would like to share that I didn't ask you and that you feel like you need to share? Of course, please share once again, where people can get your ebook from.
Yeah, they can, answer your first question. Anything I would like to share with the audience? Yeah, I mean, one thing I did talk about was I won't go too deep into it, but when I was growing up, I didn't have a whole lot of confidence. I was bullied in school, and that was my motivation to inspire people. Because being an inspiration, you have to choose to be one. I don't think it's just something that, just kind of falls in your lap. It's something that you kind of feel a calling to do. It's something you want to do. And if you want to do something, you do whatever it takes to make it happen. So that's that. As far as the book, Stay Focused, they can just find it on the website, inorganic.com. And the message is simple, man. It's basically, whoever's listening to this, you gotta believe that you're here for a reason. And then once you believe, start to understand. The only way you can understand is if you try. And the only way you can try is if you do. So don't think about it. Just take the first step. Because after you take the first step, the proverb is the first of the many thousands of steps ahead.
Wow. Mind-blowing. You need to do more interviews, Shemaiah, talking about your point of view, because after 900 interviews, it's like having a few degrees in multiple areas. No, seriously.
Appreciate it.
Amazing. So once again, everyone, head on to iamrefocusedradio.com. And I'm going to end up with one of your statements, which says, at I Am Refocused Radio, we believe that every individual has unique purpose and journey in life. That's why we provide a safe and welcoming space where people can freely share their real life experiences and connect with others on a similar path. Thank you so much, Shemaiah.
Appreciate your time. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to Grow and Learn. We hope that you found our podcast informative, engaging, and inspiring. Our mission is to help you keep growing and learning, and we hope that our conversations and insights have provided you with practical advice and useful perspectives. If you're looking for personalized support and guidance to help you achieve your personal or professional growth objectives, I offer a range of services to help. As a trusted management partner and mentor, I work with businesses in the process of transformation, looking for new streams of business, as well as M&A. With an extensive professional network of experts and mentors, I can bring on board the right person or team based on the specific needs of the company I'm working with. To learn more about the services I offer and how I can help you achieve your goals, visit my website at grownlearn.org. You can also reach out to me via email or social media. I'd love to hear from you. And if you enjoyed this episode of Grow and Learn, please subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review. Your feedback is important to us, and it helps us to continue to create content that is relevant and valuable to our listeners. Thanks again for listening, and we look forward to sharing more insights and perspectives with you in the future.